Hi there. It's been a little while since I did a YouTube, a vlog, a day in the life, and anything. And I'm really excited to be here. I wanted to hop on today to chat a little bit about how 2022 went. Today is December 30th, so the end of the year is practically upon us. So I kind of just want to talk about how the year went and do a little bit of a recap on the highs, the lows, the things that changed, the goals that I hit, and the goals that I may have missed, and really use this as an opportunity to reset and reflect on 2022 to prepare for 2023. So if you've been following me either on Instagram or here on YouTube for any period of time, you are probably familiar with the fact that in 2022, I uprooted from the Fairfax area in Virginia and relocated to New York City. I now live in the Upper East Side. This is my dog, Callie, and we've been living here since September. So a lot has changed for me in the last year. I think one of the most important things when you're heading into a new year or a new phase in your life, whatever that might be for you, is really to reflect on times when things went well and times when things were not going well, so that you can kind of approach these new opportunities with a clearer lens on what's worked and what hasn't for you. So really what I'm going to start with is kind of a breakdown month by month of what exactly happened in my life, how it felt at the time, how I feel about it now, and what I was doing that made that time either a good time or a bad time, and how I plan to bring those findings into 2023. So without further ado, let's get started. I'll be honest, January of 2022, when thinking back on it, not much really happened. It was pretty much, I think most of the time, the first month of the year, you are kind of going with all these different resolutions you may have come up with and adjusting from the holidays and getting back into the groove of work. And there's nothing memorable that I can think of in January. But something must have happened in January, because in February I ended my relationship. So again, for those who have been subscribers for some time or who know me personally, I was in a relationship for approaching 4 years. It would have been 4 years that May. And we lived together in my apartment in Fairfax, Virginia. And we ended things because we were on completely opposite pages in terms of like what we wanted out of life and where we saw our lives going. And we both had known that for quite a while. We just had never really had the gumption to do anything about it. And so I don't know what happened, but finally one day I just woke up and I just couldn't, I felt like I was lying to myself, and I knew that I was torturing myself and I didn't know why. And I felt like he was being tortured by it too. And we both were just too kind to one another and afraid of what would happen to the other person, I think, if we pulled the plug. And finally one day I just couldn't. So we ended that relationship in mid-February. That was like the first or second week of February. And that decision and that adjustment to my daily life and to my environment and to what I had perceived as my future, complete ripple effect into the rest of my future and the rest of this year. So to be completely honest, when we ended the relationship, I had every intention of staying in DC. I thought I would move closer to DC, the actual like city. Fairfax, if you're not familiar, is outside of DC. I thought I would move into DC. I thought I don't know. I just didn't really, it was kind of like, oh shit, how am I going to pay my bills? It was really the main concern was, okay, now everything that I pay for has just doubled. I went from spending $1,100 a month in rent by myself to spending $2,200 a month in rent by myself. And that kind of was my main priority, my main concern there. Obviously, the end of that relationship opened up so many other doors and opportunities that I had not even acknowledged at the time. But I was feeling really emotional about it when it happened, because it was one of those things where it was like, one, we were best friends. We had been together for, again, almost 4 years. So it was like, that was sad to lose the person who is your best friend. Two, it was financially very daunting. I was extremely overwhelmed with how I was going to afford my living situation moving forward. Three, it kind of left me feeling like there was a big void of like there's so much potential now. There's so much opportunity, but also isn't that terrifying? Like, what do future relationships look like now that you're single? You haven't even thought about like what it's like to be out there dating, and what do you want to do for a living now that like the whole world is your oyster and you can live anywhere and you can do anything and you can spend your time how you want to. So it was a weird time, and that kind of led me into March, which is when I turned 28. I'm 28, right? I think so. I started this YouTube channel, and that was really an inspiring time for me, because in the weeks leading the end of February into March, when I was like kind of in this awkward phase, I didn't really know what was happening. I was crying a lot, but like I was also happy and relieved. It was a very weird emotional time. The YouTube channel really gave me something. One, it was like an outlet. It feels like I'm kind of like bearing my soul, and I feel like I've been very authentic in the content that I've shared in the past, and look forward to doing that again in 2023. But it kind of almost felt like a video diary, and one of those opportunities that you get to say whatever you want to say and no one can really say anything back to you. It's like almost, I don't know, it's just like very cathartic. And that really prompted not only a lot of self-reflection, but also this process of understanding my habits, understanding how I was choosing to spend my time, understanding how I was eating and working out and spending money, and just really was a very reflective opportunity for me. And it really helped me to establish solid routines that then made the rest of the summer like amazing. I lost a ton of weight. I obviously put it all back on now. Pizza for every meal is tricky when you move to New York.
Pizza for every meal.
But lost a ton of weight. Really got into a good routine, a good mental routine. I was meditating. It was just like I was on a peak for sure. It was this time where I felt like things were starting to align, and it wasn't even that I had things that I wanted to align. It's just that I started to figure out who I was a little bit more. And then that led me into April, which was really the first time that I was like, bills are expensive, and living even outside of DC is really expensive. Again, I was paying $2,200 a month for an apartment, and at the time I was making $70,000 a year, and $2,200 a month just in my rent. That doesn't include my water, my trash, my electric bill, my groceries, my dog food, my dog vet bills. Like none of that other stuff was included in that. So it got to be really tight. And so I decided to start bartending, and I was bartending at this little like taco place. I make it sound so silly when I say it like that. There was a nice taco restaurant right underneath my apartment, and I started bartending there on April 1st. And that really was challenging. I had a very hard time. Working two jobs is exhausting. Shout out to people who do that. I don't know how I did it for as long as I did. I don't know how people do it for like a longer period of time. It's so impressive. I started bartending. It was really Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Occasionally I'd pick up like a weekday shift in the PM, and it was really like go, 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 high energy. I mean, it was a very popular bar. So constant movement on my feet, very exhausting, talking to a lot of people, a lot of new skills that I gained, but also just a buttload of money. Like I was making a gross amount of money. And that was really exciting because come May, well, first of all, my original goal with bartending was to make enough money to pay off all of my credit cards and be able to like be in a place where when I moved to DC, I didn't have any credit card debt, or at least had very little credit card debt. And obviously that idea really shifted when I decided to move to New York, which was at the end of May. So in May, I came up here and I visited a friend. She lives in East Village, and I spent the weekend. It was Memorial Day weekend, and spent the weekend here with her. And she and her roommate were kind of like, would you move to DC? You want to end up in New York anyway. Why wouldn't you just go to New York? Like, what are you waiting for? It's kind of one of those things where you just have to bite the bullet and do it. And I was like, honestly, that's a good point. And I thought about it over the weekend, and really come June, I was like, my money was going towards paying off my credit card bill, putting money into savings for a broker fee, and I was spending a ton of time looking for jobs. because again, I was making $70,000 a year. If you aren't familiar, in New York, you have to make 40 times your income in order to qualify to sign a lease for an apartment. And so I was like really hustling. I was picking up as many shifts as I possibly could, penny pinching as best as I could. I didn't have any friends at this time. Like all of my downtime was spent budgeting, meditating, manifesting, working. Like that was it. And in June, I actually got an offer for a job. It was, I'm going to be super transparent here. It was $120,000 a year was the offer. And I was really anxious about accepting it. There was something about it that just like wasn't sitting right with me. Everyone that I met was a man, and this is like super weird, but I really feel like I needed to be in a female dominated company. CEO, I wasn't really vibing with. And so I did not accept that offer because in addition to all of those feelings, I also took the offer to my current employer and was like, hey, I have an offer at 120, you currently pay me 70. Obviously, like this is a huge life-changing amount of money. That's an entire person's salary that I couldn't even fathom how much money that difference was. And my company offered 100 for me to stay. And at the time I was like, all these other things about this new offer just really aren't making sense to me. The money's great. $20,000 is obviously a huge difference. But in terms of like maintaining stability in my move to New York, I decided to stay at my current employer. And so I accepted their counter offer at 100. That was in June, and declined the full-time offer for the other company at 120. Okay, so now we're at July, and that is when I start touring apartments. So I came up in July to see apartments. I was going absolutely bananas on Street Easy all day long, every day. I had multiple brokers at this time. I was trying to figure out how I was gonna move, mostly sight unseen. And I started getting extremely anxious in July about actually being able to afford the move, because I had the money for the broker's fee. I had the income to make that 40 times. I did not know what I was gonna do in terms of every apartment that I saw was in a bidding war. I would go see a place that was $2,200 a month, and I would put in a bid for 25, even though it was listed at 2,200. I would put in a bid at 2,500 because that's the max, that's the cap that my income will allow me to be approved for. And people were putting in bids at 27, 29, 300, 3,000. It was insane. And so lost out on a ton of really great apartments because of that kind of situation. I was feeling really, really defeated. And I mean, I love this place. It's beautiful, it's bright, it's tiny, but the location is amazing. And when I actually look at the list of things that I was manifesting, it's everything that was on the list. So come August, when I found a different broker than the one that I had previously been working with, and he toured this place for me, and he gave me kind of like a rundown of the neighborhood, I really felt like this space made sense. The rent aligned. It's $2,500 a month here. I did have to pay a broker's fee, which again was a bummer, but I was fully prepared for that the whole time. I had already put that money aside. I had sold my car. I had saved up all this money. Like I had the money. And so I signed the lease in August, sight unseen, off of a FaceTime tour. Come September 1st, I moved into this apartment, and at the time I moved in, I had none of these things. The only thing that I had was my mattress and my dog. And yeah, I got a new couch, I got a new mirror, I got a lamp, I got a bedside table, I got like a little bit of everything, coffee table, the whole shebang. Really moved with nothing, and that was a really big adjustment and really threw me into a, you wanted this, you've dreamt of this, this is what you asked for, can you handle it kind of scenario. And it was hard, and it's still been hard. And I'll be honest, like October, November, December, like not a ton has really happened other than like I'm just trying to enjoy as much of New York as I possibly can without completely burning out. And I'm finding that come December, I very much have kind of slipped into this depression of like, holy shit, it's so expensive to live here. I have not made the friends that I expected I would make. I do not have the social circle, the income, the hobbies that I thought I would have. And I've kind of slipped into this like bit of a depression the last couple of weeks. I would say really from like mid-November to this week. it's been a bummer because it's like, it's not, New York hasn't felt like what I thought it was going to feel like. How I've spent the last couple of days is trying to figure out, where was 2022 really, really great? Where did I capitalize on my time? Where was I efficient? Where was I effective? Where can I implement those sorts of habits and routines into 2023? So thinking about it from that kind of lens, in order to really make sure that this funk and like depth of depression that I'm in does not carry into 2023, it's really, the first thing I thought of was like, what are the key themes and takeaways from 2022? I really think the very first theme was being uncomfortable, like an uncomfortability, changing the status quo. I have a hair across my nose somewhere. Putting myself into situations that made me deeply uncomfortable. So first of all, ending my relationship in February, very uncomfortable. I am a habitual monogamist because I have a hard time expressing when I'm unhappy in a situation. And even though, like I mentioned, we had both known that the relationship wasn't going anywhere, I couldn't get myself to end it. So I put myself in a very uncomfortable position by actually being able to successfully end that relationship when I did in February. And I think he and I both are better for it, but it was an uncomfortable time. And then in April, when I started bartending, and I was incredibly uncomfortable doing something new, having to be out of the house, bartending, I know I seem like an outgoing person because I have a YouTube channel and all of that, but really the reason I'm outgoing is because I'm talking to myself and to my cell phone right now. I had to be like on all the time and constantly friendly and smiling and giving a crap about people in their lives. So that was really uncomfortable and put me in an uncomfortable position. And then interviewing for jobs, having offers, counter offering, negotiating again. I'm like such a kiss ass and a people pleaser that was really uncomfortable in that June, July timeframe. And then in August, signing a lease where I had never seen an apartment was really uncomfortable. In September, actually moving was really uncomfortable. 2022 was really the season of being uncomfortable and putting myself into uncomfortable scenarios. But I also think that with that uncomfortability really came like a lot of self-reflection, a lot of growth, and a lot of change. And so all of these things were because I was really uncomfortable. And I think that that's a theme I really want to carry into 2023, is finding routines and habits that throw me into uncomfortable scenarios and situations in order to force me to grow, to change, and to improve as a person. So thinking of 2023 and what it is that I'm looking for in 2023, how do I want to determine success next year? There's a couple of tangible things that I have on my list, measurable goals that I can have: lose a certain amount of weight, have a certain amount of YouTube subscribers, blah, 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 blah. But there's also that kind of overarching theme of like, 2023 will be a success if I can continue to make myself try new things, do something scary, put myself out there. And I'm not talking about like go parasailing, go skydiving. Like, I'm afraid of heights if you haven't gathered. But more so those things that make me uncomfortable foundationally. I don't know if that makes sense, but like the deeper things that make me uncomfortable, not just like, what are your fears, surface level? Oh, I'm afraid of spiders. Like, I'm not going to go to sit in a spider room. But I'm talking about like the things of like, I don't know how I feel about dating. Just putting myself into positions where I'm really testing what I think my understanding of self is. One of the other things that was really key in 2022, and if you've been watching my YouTube channel, you know that this was a big theme for me, was routines and establishing really clear routines and a lot of structure that created habits that allowed for all of this to happen. So one of the big things I was doing was habit tracking, habit stacking, really making sure that I was focusing a ton of time on mindfulness, self-reflection, manifestation. So that's another thing I want to carry into 2023, is making sure that I establish the right types of routines and have specific takeaways and action items for my goals. So with that in mind, my 2023 goals are, as I already mentioned, lose 30 pounds. I have been consistently putting on weight over the last couple of years. Yes, I think that that is a totally normal thing that happens as you age. However, I'm very much at an uncomfortable weight right now. My clothes don't fit very well. I don't like how I look in pictures. To me, it's less about like an actual number, even though that 30 pounds would be a great target. It's more like I need a number in order to get myself on track. I, at this point, would be happy with any amount of weight loss. I just need to stop on the other direction that I've been on. I would like to get my YouTube to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I will be making more frequent videos. Again, that's part of those like tangible next steps. If you want 5,000 subscribers, you actually have to put out content that they give a crap about. And so that's my goal here, is to get back onto that routine of filming, editing, posting. I also want to get my Instagram to 10,000 followers. I'm at 1,470 right now. So also please go follow me on Instagram. Really there, a lot of what I've been sharing is mostly stories based and reels. I am going to kind of expand some of the content that I'm posting. Check it out there if you haven't already, and I look forward to creating more transparent but trendy content on that platform. I would like to get back into money saving mode. My goal is $10,000. I don't know how doable that actually is. Like, I haven't really sat down and done the backwards math on that, because again, you know, my one paycheck does not cover my rent. So that would be something that's a little bit more of like one of those stretch things where I might have to think about second jobs or other income streams in order to hit that. But that is a goal that I want to make sure that I am thinking about and have top of mind every time I go out. I really want to visit somewhere new. I wanted to put Europe on this list, but to be honest, I don't see that happening, just given the fact that I am not in the best place financially right now. So I'd rather prioritize saving money, paying off my credit card, rather than prioritize like an expensive European trip. So when I say like visit somewhere new, I'm talking about an upstate weekend, or go to visit a friend in Chicago or something, like just a short weekend. Something that ideally is not like an insanely expensive excursion 2-week trip, but just see something different. I want to develop a new hobby, and one of the ways that I've already kind of kicked that off is I am signed up for a pottery class, which I'm super excited about. It starts on January 9th, so that will be really fun to kind of see if that can be a hobby that I am good at, interested in, enjoy. Also open to other hobbies, so gonna get back into reading, gonna really focus on my French. That's another one I want to become a little bit more conversational in French. So thinking again about the words that 2022 ended up with, and kind of framing the way I want to approach 2023, I have a couple of keywords for that as well. One thing I'm really looking for is continued exploration, so just having a really curious mindset. I'm also looking to be courageous. I want to make sure I have another uncomfortable and courageous year in the books. I want to push myself to be more creative, to create more content, to spend more time doing creative things and spend less time watching TV and being a potato on my couch. I'm looking for a year of abundance, and I really think that that's abundance in terms of joy, abundance in terms of wealth, abundance in terms of friendship and community. So abundance kind of just all around in all the good things. And last but not least, I'm really looking for a year of self-acceptance and figuring out who I am, what I want, what I care about, why, and really just putting an energy out there about figuring all of those things out and accepting whatever comes up. So whether that's through therapy or through continued kind of like personal diary vlogging that I'm doing right now, I really just want to find a way to learn as much about myself and accept who I am and what I stand for a little bit more. All right, that is everything. Thank you for watching my 2022 recap and my projections into 2023. Here's hoping that all of these resolutions come through. As always, I will be sharing how my progress goes. I'm going to kind of get back into that weekly update of, am I on track with my goals? Did I meet my goals? Did I miss them? In addition to some other one-off content that I think will be hopefully really exciting and engaging for you. So please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube, follow me on Instagram. Really look forward to seeing you in 2023. I hope that you had a great 2022 and that you have a fantastic start to your new year, and I will see you all very soon. Bye.